Okay, I'm going to call this video Pictures Showing the Behavior of Photons of Light. And I'm not going to talk so much during the showing of this. Now and then, but not constantly. These orbs are so colorful. And today I'm going to Office Depot to pick up 2 pictures of orbs that I gave them to be put on canvas. And I'm excited about that. Can't wait to see how they turned out. The colors in these orbs would satisfy almost any artist's need for color in their paintings or artwork. And some orbs are rather beautiful with their colors, and others are just rather interesting, you know. They have what looks like dimension or depth to them. And there's no accounting for what the colors mean. As far as I know, I have no idea. Sometimes the colors will, when I'm viewing them in the viewer of my camera, they seem to be like a wave that is just somehow hovering over other parts of the orb. Like it's a wave that is conditioning with its colors the other intricacies of the orb. It makes me, the words standing waves that are talked about by physicists a lot come to mind, that this could be what a standing wave looks like. I know this is really just basically showing the way light travels through something that's made of glass. But it shows, to me, the possible ways that light can look as it travels through the medium of glass. There are probably so many other ways it can look as well, were I to do other experiments, which I'm always trying to think of how else could I take pictures of these orbs. Under what other conditions could I take pictures of them to see what all else there is to be discovered? This was a ribbon-like one that skirted out and just fanned in certain places, sort of making little vortexes. Light is so creative in its movement. I know it must mean something. Now see, that one almost made a little vortex there. what I wonder about quite often is the observer, myself, creating what I see in the light? Well, I know in a certain way of thinking I am, because however I choose to move the camera or my eyes or the marble shows different reflections of the light in space, in the space that comes out from around the light source. And but when I hold it as still as I can, there is still movement within the orb, as though the orb were some kind of breathing, pulsing, morphing kind of being. I was listening to a physicist talking about photons of light, and he called a photon an elementary particle. And the quantum of light is electromagnetic radiation. Okay, look at this one. See, here's the ring. That ring came in just one day. That was the only time I ever saw that ring. Why it came in that one day, I don't know. But the ring sort of embedded itself in many of the other wider, more circular orbs after that day. The light is changing. It's changing, and it's changing us, I believe, and I hope for the better. It's my wish that I put out there that this light opens man's heart up to understand and love his fellow man more than he has in the past. Sometimes I just go right to the center of one of the orbs, because then you can see all the little tiny circles. Orbs are so full of circles, and all those little white circles you see in there. Let's see, I missed that one, showing it to you. But what they are doing is coming up like bubbles. They appear and then they disappear, or they like pop. It's like if you were watching a kettle of water, a pan of water boil, and you see the little bubbles coming up from the bottom and then popping on the top. And there's so many of them. It's like it's a living material something. Well, maybe not material. It doesn't occupy any space. I mean, you can put your hand right through this. But I think that it has purpose, and maybe it has more purpose than we've ever considered, because of the consensus thought that this world that we see with our physical eyes is illusion. But then I've read that everything that vibrates is part of the illusion, and these definitely vibrate, but they're showing us a part of the illusion that we've never seen before like this. At least I haven't in my research on the internet. I go to a lot of sites and see a lot of discussions and pictures that people have taken of orbs, and they're very prevalent these days. There's people out there that believe that orbs are very demonic. That is so strange that they think that. But I think they're quite natural, and I think understanding of something is always better than to hide behind some, well, it's demonic concept and never look into it any further. This is my little friend Harry that just went by. I see him quite often. I give him the name Harry. I take pictures of him every time I see him. And there's the ring again in one of the pictures that I got that day. And then I saw the ring in other views of the orb in the days after that initial first day. For several days I saw that ring sort of embedded in these other orbs. But these days now, it's been 4 or 5 weeks, and I don't see it anymore. Things come and things go. And who knows what these things are? It is a mystery, but I love a mystery. I wish I could tell you exactly what this is and what it means, but I would be lying if I said that I did know, because I don't. I have no idea. And I don't know that I would trust anybody else's idea of it. So often we think someone else knows more than we possibly could, but the truth is, if we earnestly desire to know more, it will come to us. The answers that we seek will come to us. Just like these pictures, my ability to take them was a fulfilled wish, because I see so much in the light with the naked eye that I can't even talk about to people, because people don't see light the way I do. But when I was able to take pictures like these of it, now I can talk about it, because now I don't sound like some ignorant person that just fancies that she sees things that aren't there. These are there, or I wouldn't be able to take pictures of them. Now, a lot of people have told me they think it's just light refraction. But I say, how could light refraction create little round circles and some of the other things I see in these orbs? Like these two eyes, for instance. I call them eyes because in every one of the orbs, they usually show up. There they are, and that one there. And you'll see them. There again they are, and there's my little friend Harry. I wish I could communicate with him, find out what his world is like. I do know it's a very colorful world to my eyes. But like I said one time, Harry may be a little piece of debris that's in my camera that only pops into view at certain times. I do consider that possibility, but I really think not. Not from my experiences of taking pictures and how I don't see them sometime. And I want to see him, and I call Harry, show yourself, and then he pops right into a picture after I call for him. So it's almost like there is a kind of communication just like that, but nothing in depth. And this makes me sound crazy, I know. You have a friend in the light, a creature, a light creature. But believe you me, I've looked at enough videos. There are people who have even wilder ideas of things than that would make that sound like something quite innocent. There are so many conspiracy theories out there, imagining all kinds of things. And I think the people that want to envision certain things are helping it maybe be a possibility that it could happen, because our imaginations are very creative and they cause the image that we imagine to exist if we have enough people believe in a certain thing. That's why sometimes I get a little perturbed that so many people are doom and gloomers. They only see terrible things as happening. Like, for instance, right now, the comet Ison is supposed to be getting closer and closer to us, and it could have debris that will hit our Earth and just decimate the Earth. Just in days now, sometime before Christmas, it will pass really close to the Earth. And a lot of gloom and doomers out there have predicted that's it for us. That's it. We're goners. But I don't worry about such things because, everybody's going to die eventually someday. And I would be worried more about, am I ready for the next world, than the fact that I'm going to die. And I think getting ready for it is to learn more so to love your fellow man. Even the doom and gloomers, I wish them well. Even my enemies, just as Jesus said, love your enemies. There's the little ring that came in that day. Seems like in these orb pictures there are so many things that are circular. Little tiny circles and then a little bit bigger ones, and circles that have concentric circles around them. I think the circle must be an easily attained energy form for consciousness that is not embodied in flesh. A lot of people see orbs and they think it's visiting their loved ones that are coming into their life to visit them and see them through the form of an orb. That could be right, I don't know. I'm not saying it is or isn't. But it is a convenient form for a little energy packet to make an orb. Now I will be quiet for a little while and let you just enjoy the pictures. Not too long ago, I visited my sisters, and I haven't seen them in several years. And I took my album that I have many pictures of orbs like these that are going by, and I showed them to them, and I told them how it's in the light, and I showed them how I took the pictures. But there was very little interest on their part. It's like, oh, wait a minute, this baffles my mind too much. I will steer away from it. I'll call it demonic or maybe something I shouldn't look into. And so while they were polite enough to me and didn't call me bad for having taken these pictures, yet they didn't show any interest in wanting to learn how to do so. It's like, I'm constantly amazed that people find it uninteresting that there is all around us this dimension where orbs show us a lot of unusual things, to say the least. One time when I was in a place where there was a psychic person who was able to see auras, I asked her what color did she see around me, and she said multiple colors. That I had, it was like flowers of every description, you know, colors galore. So sometimes I wonder if our camera is connected to us in any way, that it picks up what we see in our aura, because the camera is within our aura, but our aura extends out from our bodies. So it could be that we have some kind of connection with our camera and what it sees. Not saying I know this for real. I don't know it for real. I just conjecture that that could be possible. In which case, I have a lot of color. I'm proud of that. I like color. I think it's very beautiful. I sort of have fallen in love with color and form. Although I'm not much of an artist that I want to draw. I'm not that good at drawing. But sometimes I like to color things, with crayons or with colored pens and pencils, because it's a very calming thing to do. I know a lot of adult people who color in coloring books. They say it relaxes them, and I can imagine it would. It's raining outside right now. We've had so much rain lately. It's unbelievable. At one point the yard was so full of rain it just stood in puddles because it couldn't soak in anymore. See, aren't these interesting, these ones going by? And all these pictures that are in this showing, most of them, are taken with my older camera. I have two cameras. My older camera has gotten so many artifacts in it, like this little thing right here and this little thing, and they always show up in the same place. And I've gotten even more of them. Every now and then I see, oh, a new artifact. Something else has come to live within my camera and show up in all my pictures. But I've learned not to dislike it. Actually, this little character right here I call my double jointed kind of artifact showed up in my new camera in one of the pictures of an orb. And that was so strange to me. And there it is right there, that it has such a specific look that it's recognizable. And when I use my new cameras, I don't get any artifacts in it, because I guess there's no, well, I haven't had it out in nature where anything could get into it that is maybe something that would just lodge in there. But my old camera, I was at the beach one day and my cover for my lens blew off and away and I couldn't find it, so I couldn't cover my lens, and that day a lot of sand and stuff might have gotten into my camera. And ever since then. But why does new stuff show up every now and then? And I ask myself, why do they have the strange look they have, these things that I call artifacts of my camera? Sometimes I really wish I could talk to an expert on photography and digital cameras and get their take on what they think this might be. Because it shows some peculiar oddities about it that don't just exactly sound like your normal kind of thing that might get caught in a camera and show up in all your pictures. My friend has a camera that always shows a certain little gadget that if he takes a picture of light, it shows up, it looks like a little bird. But it looks like a little mechanical part of the inner workings of this camera. But these things that I get that I call artifacts in mine, they don't look like mechanical parts. But they did in his, and when he had a different camera, he didn't have that. Only that one particular camera always showed it. But even beside the artifacts, what about all the other things that are in these orbs? What are they? What do they mean? Why is one orb of one color and the one right beside it completely a different kind of scene, like these that we'll be going by now? The reason there are so many orbs is because there were a lot of spots of light that my camera was focused upon, because I was filming through this little piece of marble that I have them all stuck together. So you get several shiny spots of light on it. These orbs, they twist and turn and change positioning their bodies different till they don't even look like an orb sometimes. You don't see the outside edge with the circles around it like most of them have, like that one. And this one, you see, orbs always have this kind of ring around them, and maybe several rings, maybe 4 or 5 of them sometimes. That's one of the characteristics of a lot of orbs that I see people have taken pictures of, that they show those concentric rings on the outer edges. But sometimes when orbs move about, you lose sight of them. It's like the color in them just exceeds the boundaries of those rings and just bleeds out of them. I was very up close in this one. Like I say, I go for the color. When I see a lot of color, I snap the camera button and get that picture as best I can. It's a form of art to me. Maybe it's cosmic art or something like that. Subatomic particle art. I have to give it some kind of name. I do know light is information. I feel that to be true, that light carries information. But I can't read that. I can't read these and know what they're showing or saying. I know they have a variety of ways to move about and distribute colors about. Some of them quite beautiful, like this one going by. This is a lazy day with the rain just pitter-pattering outside my window. And it's winter, it's December, and we're having our coldest, wettest time. I did manage to get outside the other day and sit on the ground, because that's very important, to sit on the ground and get grounded. I have a special place I like to go, and I put a little blanket down so I can lay all the way down on the ground without getting all dirty. And looking at the light, the sunlight is good. Now this is a picture right here I took outdoors. You can see the leaves and things. You can see right through these orbs. They're very transparent. It's best to try to get an orb picture when you're outdoors, when the sun is low in the sky, or you're under a tree like I was and only a little of the sun rays penetrate through the tree. Then you get the most colorful ones. If you have too much sun, you're just going to get white orbs that are less interesting to look at. So many of these pictures that are very, very colorful would make really great wall pictures to bring a splash of color to a room. Now see, this is an outdoor one that was pretty much white, but very transparent. That one turned out very colorful. This was a beautiful autumn day when I was just in the front yard laying in all the many leaves that had fallen on the ground. And a huge flock of blackbirds were making the most funny sounds. They sound like they're crackling. They sound like electricity sometimes, crackling through the highline wires. At first I thought that was what they were, that it was a highline electrical gadget about to go out, because I wasn't familiar with these blackbirds and how they sound. But they have some funny noises they make. And they're flocking right now. They're just lining up all over the telephone lines, wires, and when they fly, they just fill the air with their bodies. And there'll be a tree that's lost all its leaves and all these blackbirds fly into it, and it's like they decorate it with their bodies. It's like, that's a blackberry Christmas tree. A blackbird Christmas tree. And then they all get scared and lift off and the tree is bare again. I love nature. One time when I was studying something about colors, in the book they said that the colors black and red are not good colors. They said they were like evil or something, and if you had anything that was those colors, that you should replace it with better colors. But I liked black because black makes you look a little slimmer when you wear black clothes, and I'm not that crazy about red, but I didn't want to hate black or red. And so I went to a little Dairy Queen-like place, and these two women were sitting at a booth, and they got my attention, and I went over to talk to them. And they started telling me, one of the women started telling me a story about these birds that were black and red. and that people hated and despised these birds because they thought, well, they weren't very beautiful. You know, they were ugly, ugly old black and red birds. But it turns out this particular kind of bird was the only bird that would eat a certain insect from some trees that were being killed by these insects swarming them. But when the black and red birds came, they destroyed the insect that was infesting the trees. So she thought they were real pretty, black and red. And I thought, wow, it's strange she would tell me that story of the black and red birds being valuable and pretty, right after I had just read that black and red were bad colors. I read a lot of metaphysical stuff, but some of it I just dismiss because people can go off on a tangent and make up stuff that I don't know if they deliberately do it or they don't know that they're doing it, but they speak their fears and talk about things as if it were real, you know, and you just have to let so much of it go in your mind that you don't pick up on their fears and make them your own. Sometimes I wonder how long I'm going to be taking pictures of more and more orbs. I've been doing this now for over a year, I'm sure. And I keep thinking I'll see even more, or I'll see something that I'll certainly not want to miss, like the day that ring came through. That was only one day's occurrence, and it has not happened again since. But I think, well, maybe something else might come through, because I do know the rays of the light that come from our sun are bringing us mysterious gifts, I think. And I want to film them. The way I take pictures of orbs, I want to get a picture of it as best I can. So I explore with my camera, even on days that I don't take pictures. I look through the viewer with the focus close up and see what's out there, just as an exploratory tool. Takes a lot of batteries, but I do have some batteries now that I can just plug into the electricity and recharge them, so it's not a problem. I guess I came to the end of that because it stopped. See, that was a big lot of pictures. I have so many. I'll show you this. The other day, when we were driving around in a city called Georgetown, the people have these deer that just roam around in their yards, and they're protected. But I thought it was so unusual, I got out and got as close as I could to them, but they don't let you get too close. But with the focus, I could get close up and get some of their pictures of them. Beautiful animals they are. You see, in this yard there must have been about 13 deer out there. I was counting them in this picture the other day. Always on the alert. I like this one. All of them looking at me like, are you friend or foe? I would love to live in that part of the city where these deer just roam around. If you want to have flowers or anything, like you can see over here in the background, there's a big tall gate, because the people that live in that house probably want to keep their flowers intact. And that's what you have to do if you live in that area. You have to just fortify against the deer, because they're going to come into your yard. See how they're just sitting in this one? They're just sitting around. And there's, in the yard, there's the person's house and their door, and you don't see any little plants around that, unless they're deer resistant plants. There are some things they don't like to nibble on. So when you go to the nursery, you look at the plants and they'll say deer resistant. Anyway, it was really fun taking pictures of them. If I lived there, I would try to make friends with them. I would give them something to eat and try to get them to come up closer to me. Oh, that's funny. I'll show you this picture. In this area of Georgetown, this is they said a house because this is a zoned area and you can't have a church there. This looks like a church, and it was meant to be a church. And they built it anyway, even despite the zoning and the protest from people who didn't want all the traffic that the church would bring into their community. So it's just built and sitting there and unused. And it's really quite crazy that they would have gone and built it anyway, because it's a very expensive lot of building to be of no use. Okay, I'm going to exit here and end this video. I've gotten up to about 41 minutes, and that's enough of hearing me and seeing orbs, I guess. So this is the Dove Lady, over and out. Talk to you later.